right. This is Online Big Blue, bringing you the best in New York Giants sports talk and entertainment. It was the 23-21 win for the New York Giants over the New England Patriots. It was the late Graham Gano field goal that brought it home for the team. You know what? It's preseason. The Giants' first teamers went up against second and third teamers against the Pats with the sprinklings of first teamers mixed in. We knew that was going to happen because Belichick's not big on playing his guys, especially early in the preseason. So, you know, it was an up-down game. It was a fun game at times. There were some interesting things to watch. There were some interesting things to take note of. There was some injuries that we need to discuss. But you know what? It's good to get a win. It doesn't matter who you play against. It's good to get a win. Everyone's going to want to start off by talking about Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones was, you know, he is what it is because it's the fact that it's preseason. You're running a pretty vanilla offense. He was 6 for 10 for 69 yards. He was sacked once for 8 yards. His average completion was 6.9. So you know what? I mean, but it's nothing to get hyped about. It's nothing to get upset about because of the fact that it's, you know, they came away with 3 points on the opening drive. It is what it is. I mean, the offense they ran was extremely vanilla. There was nothing spectacular that they were going after. So I mean, you know, you have to use these moments in these series as building moments of continuity. You know, get on the field with your offensive line, looking at your wide receivers, and he didn't have his complement of wide receivers because Kadarius Toney did not play. But like I said, I'm not judging Daniel Jones on this performance because honestly, either good or bad because of the fact that it would be unfair to him because A, he didn't go up against first teamers, and B, he didn't have his full complement of wide receivers, and C, they didn't really run anything that they're going to be running during the regular season. We're going to get more of an idea about Daniel Jones going in the Cincinnati game because then they'll be playing more serious. I was surprised that they played an entire quarter. I was kind of surprised, but I'm not gonna lie. Same thing with Saquon. Saquon had 4 carries for 13 yards, 3.3. His longest yards per carry was 5. Again, I'm not going to judge Saquon because of the fact that you're getting your feet wet. You're going against competition that you haven't seen before. You're not really running your offense. So those are the things that we need to, you know, just all take into consideration. So the people that love Daniel Jones are going to be overhyped about this performance. People that don't like Daniel Jones are going to say this was a bad performance. I'm sitting in the middle. I'm sitting this one out. I'm sitting in the middle because of the fact that you can't judge someone either way if it's good or bad because of the fact of, you know, what he went up against and what he had to work with. So I can't judge anything. I can't even give him an incomplete because there was nothing to judge. I will say this for all the people that you know that are in the Daniel Jones, we love Daniel Jones camp, and are saying that Malik Willis's performance on Thursday was nothing because he went up against second and third teamers. Well, I don't want to say this, but but so did Daniel Jones, and Malik Willis had a pretty good game. He had a big 45-yard pass. He had that wonderful touchdown run. He's looking like he's an NFL quarterback. That flick on that 45-yard pass, man, that was something to see. And he looked like at times that he was playing back at Liberty where his offensive line was going. I'm going to throw this out there right now about the Baltimore Ravens. Even their second team D-line, there's something special there. There's something special with the rush in that middle. And I would like to point this out for people about Daniel Jones. I've said this last year. The league figured out quite extensively last season, if you put the rush directly in front of his face, if you bring the majority of the pressure directly in front of him, Daniel Jones still has an issue. And he had that issue on a couple dropbacks this game as well. It could also be that his offensive line didn't block well, but that is something just to take a look at. Now, in reference to the running game, there was some highlights. Antonio Williams looked really good against the defense. He was 9 carries for 61 yards for 6.8 in that touchdown. He had a long run of 19. Gary Brightwell at times showed a little bit of strength, showed a little bit of moves. I was kind of surprised about that. He's got 7 carries for 40 yards. And Corbin, man, I love Corbin out of Florida State, man. I've talked about Corbin multitudes of times. He looked good in the return game. He had 6 carries for 23 yards. There was a lot, like I said, the running game was something to take a look at. The running game with the young running backs of Williams, Brightwell, and Corbin really did kind of stood up a little bit. You kind of looked at it and said, the backup behind Barkley and Matt aren't going to be that bad if we have these guys. And again, I know they were playing against third and fourth teamers at the end, but you know what? If you're playing against guys that are probably not going to be in the league and you want to be in the league, you want to excel. You want to show something statistically. And all 3 of those guys did. Colin Johnson had a good game, kind of had an up-down game. He had 7 catches for 82 yards. He was targeted quite extensively. He had that one big he had the fumble, which that was a really bad fumble. He also had that one ball that was kind of dropped, but he had a really good game. Richie James looked good as well. 3 catches, 44 yards. I was kind of excited to see Richie. Darius Slayton got into the act even with 1 catch for 17 yards on 2 targets. Alex Bachman, 2 for 17. Alex Bachman, I don't think is going to be on this team. But you know what? Daniel Bellinger even got in the action with 1 catch for 5 yards. The game itself was, it was interesting in the fact that there was a lot of sloppiness in reference to the special teams. And again, I think that's going to be always in reference to what's going to happen in training camp. We had an illegal formation on a kickoff. I don't know how that happens. The Colin Johnson fumble, was something to take a look at. But overall, like I said, it was a performance you have to be encouraged by. The defense, I didn't want to talk about the defense. I really didn't want to talk about the defense because of the fact that there are some concerns in reference to the secondary. And there are someone got picked on. Aaron Robinson got picked on quite extensively. And once again, he shows he can make the tackle after the play, but he needs to stop the receiver from making the play. There was the bad penalty on him, but then also there was another penalty on that was his. He got turned around on that touchdown in the end zone. That's gonna be something to keep an eye on. And, in the near future. So, I think that's something we have to just keep an eye on that CB2 position because, like I said, going up against second and third teamers, he went up against a rookie speedster for the Pats, and it didn't go well. It did not go well at all. So we have to be curious about that. Kayvon Thibodeau was kind of a non-factor. Kayvon had one. He had 1 tackle. He wasn't really in on a lot of plays. He didn't make his presence felt during the pass rush. But again, like I said, it's preseason. He was only in for a small sample of snaps. He did come out and said that after this game, he's just ready for the regular season to start. I would like to see him get more involved in the preseason game itself before he starts worrying about starting this game because he is a rookie, not a third-year veteran. So that's something we just need to keep it's something we just want to see him progress more against more game talent and get more ideas how to play against other players besides the offensive line you've been going up against for the last 3 weeks. Yusef Corker actually had a couple plays. He actually looked pretty good. Darnay Holmes was on a couple stops. I enjoyed watching him as well. Quincy Roche, he played towards the end of the game, the last half almost. He did have 3 tackles, 1 quarterback hit. He actually looked pretty good. Darren Beavers, he had that big tackle for the loss. I thought that was another guy that really showed something. Same with McFadden. So there were a lot of guys on this team that I feel really stepped up, and especially that were rookies that really showed something against guys against guys that have probably ladder talent. Darren Evans, the cornerback, actually had some good plays as well. When you talk about all the good, you also have to talk about the bad. And the bad, of course, anytime for the New York Giants in regards to the game itself is going to be injuries. We had a couple that we probably need to address not right off the bat, because we've been talking now for almost 10 minutes. I think one of the big injuries we need to talk about right off the bat is going to be Shane Lemieux. Shane Lemieux injured his toe. He was in a walking boot after the game. We'll obviously know how severe that injury is towards probably later today. Douglas, also the offensive lineman, came up with an ankle injury in the second half. He did not come back, and Cordell Flott also had a groin injury, and he did not return to the game. So, those were the kind of the things that we kind of want to stay away from, of course, the injuries, but, stubbing your toe, getting the turf toe, and, a groin injury are certain things that, are going to happen during games. An ankle injury, the same thing. You get your ankles rolled up on all the time. It's going to depend on the severity of the injury. It's better to get some injuries now out of the way, if you want to say anything, than it is to get them in the last preseason game. We're going to get more of a look and an opportunity to see what this team can do next Sunday during the Cincinnati game. Of course, we're going to be giving away that ticket. We potentially are going to have 2 Coaches Club tickets to give away. You're going to get to hang out with me, James Williams, OGR Sports, and Dominic Palmer, flying in all the way from the UK. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be fun. Like I said, it was a good game. It was. Oh, I've got to talk about Tyrod Taylor. Tyrod Taylor, you know what? I have not seen a giant backup quarterback look like Tyrod Taylor in years in reference to his play. I have not seen that before. It was fun to see. It gives you hope. It gives you confidence that he is going to be an asset to this team. He's going to be an asset for Daniel Jones. So I think that was good. That was interesting. He was 13 for 21 for 129 yards in that touchdown. Had some nice zip on the ball. One of the things I did come away with after watching this game, and again, this is against guys that were not first teamers. Davis Webb is not an NFL quarterback. Davis Webb, 8 for 16, 51 yards. The dude is not an NFL quarterback. He is not an NFL. He's not from, but there's a reason why he's bounced around the league for a while. He's not an NFL quarterback. He's a guy that was brought in to teach these guys the system. He probably won't be on the roster. If anything, he might be on the practice squad. But watching him play against third and fourth teamers, you could clearly see he does not have the capacity or the athleticism. There is a huge disparage. There's a huge difference between Daniel Jones and Davis Webb. Daniel Jones is sitting there at low end starter right now at best, and Davis Webb is sitting there going, should be working at Prudential. So there's a huge disparity. But you know what? It is what it is. He's brought in to do something. He's brought in to be a camp arm. He's brought in to teach these guys the system. But it's great to see Tyrod Taylor. And like I said, at the end of the day, we're going to get more of an idea of next Sunday, or this Sunday, next Sunday, 21st, about what this team really looks like. And again, this is Tim with Online Big Blue, bringing you the best of New York Giants sports talk and entertainment. And as always, if you could you can subscribe. If you can ring that bell, you know what it means. That'd be awesome.